I'm going to show you how to create a Linocut, including mistakes you might make and want to avoid. So the equipment you need, this is just a piece of plastic that I use. You need a roller. This is the Linocut which I've already cut into. You also need a barron, and I've also got a sheet there which I use for my registration, and I have another video which tells you a bit more about that. Okay, now inks, you can use oil-based, which will take longer to dry. I do think they get a better result. They're very messy and hard to clean up. I'm actually using water-based ink, which is so easy to clean up. So I'm using white ink. That's because I'm actually experimenting here with doing it on black paper. There's all sorts of different papers that you can buy and try it out on. You do tend to get a better result using proper printing paper. So here I'm just rolling the ink on to the roller. You don't want it too thick, you want it quite evenly onto the roller. You can see I've got a missing spot there, so I've actually bought quite a cheap kit, like a starter kit for Linocut, which I got off Amazon. So I'm not sure the roller's the very best. You can get more expensive kits, but it's very good just for trying out and having a go at the beginning without spending a lot of money. So then you need to roll it onto your Linocut. You go back and forth in different directions so that you really cover it completely, cover the edges. And you don't want the ink on the roller to be too thick, but you want it to be thick enough to make a really good covering of ink, a good layer of ink on there. So I'm just rolling it back and forth, trying to get a very even coat. Actually running out of ink a bit here, so I can roll back into my ink that I've got there. Get right to the edges. You can see some areas of my Linocut haven't really picked up the ink, so I'm going to roll a bit more onto my roller. Try and get it nice and evenly. Going back and forth really helps. Okay, get another layer on there. You want a nice even coat. I'll show you later on in the clip what happens if you don't really get a good enough coat of ink onto your Linocut. I'll also speed up the video a little bit at the moment, at the very beginning, just to show you how carefully you need to do it and exactly how to do it. I've got it in real time. I do speed it up a little bit. Okay, so it's pretty much covered. Now you can see my registration sheet on the side there. What I need to do is make sure that my Linocut is inside the square, the rectangle that I've drawn around. Make sure it's in the right spot each time, because I'm actually going to be creating a multi-layered, multicoloured Linocut, and if you're doing that, then you do need a registration sheet. I've actually got a video explaining how to create this really simple, easy registration sheet. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm going to pop it into that rectangle. Now, the black paper I've got, it's black card, but actually it's a bit like sugar paper. As it turns out, it's not really the very best effect. So anyway, I need to line it up on my registration sheet, which is so against the bottom line and the other edge there. Really line it up carefully, because as I do more layers, it will mean that each layer goes on top in the exact place and I get a better effect. Sometimes it looks quite good to misalign, but most of the time you want it to be in the right place. Now there's different burnishing techniques, so you can just press with your hand like I've done. You can use a plastic barron like this. You can also buy other types of barrons which are more expensive. The Japanese type of barron is really good to use. You can just use a wooden spoon. You can actually use a roller as well, obviously not one which you've used for the ink. I find a roller method quite good. So you just need to make sure that you press everywhere paper, the ink really sticks on it. Actually, the piece of paper sticks to the ink, so it doesn't tend to sort of move out of place or anything, which is really good, really handy. Actually covered every spot, especially right up to the edges. Now, if you lift it really carefully, then you can check that you've got the effect that you want. And I can see there it's not really quite picked up all the ink. I think perhaps doing white ink on black wasn't the best plan. But it's always good to try these things out, get different effects, and you can actually learn from my mistakes and perhaps not try it yourself. So I'm just going to rub it on a bit more, see if I can get a bit of a better effect on there. Perhaps it might help to have a little bit more ink as well on the Linocut in the first place. Okay, so again, lift it up very carefully, because then I can just put it back if it's not quite right still. Okay, now actually looking at this, I'm a bit disappointed with the effect that I've got there, and I think it might be because it's more of a sugar paper type. Now I'm mixing a bit of blue ink in now. Okay, and it's good to use a roller and mix it all together. If you've got a better roller, it mixes a bit better. Need a little bit more white. Now water-based ink does dry quite quickly, so that bottom layer of white was quite dry actually, not really mixing that well. Okay, nice thin even coat. Again, get a nice layer on top of my Linocut. So when you're doing printing, it's great to try different colours out, because actually sometimes the colours you intend aren't actually the very best colours. Sometimes it works better with different things, and the great thing about printing is you can do lots and lots and lots. If you're doing multi-layered, then really you want to try a lot of different colours and do a couple of times, so that you can try a different colour on top of each colour. Okay, so I pulled it off there. Again, not the best finish. Now I'm just going to show you what happens if you don't put enough ink on your Linocut. Sometimes it's good to give that a try. Sometimes it's quite nice to get a less covered and more mottled effect, especially if you're doing a few layers. It can work okay. Okay. Again, do it really carefully with the Baron. Now this time when I pull it off, can you see a lot of the black through there? That's not good. Okay. So I'm going to ink it up again. Now this time I'm going to use proper printing paper to show you the difference. You know, a much better result I've got. Now this isn't too pale, this blue, so it should work quite nicely on white paper. Now my white piece of paper is smaller than my sheet here, so I have actually on my registration sheet drawn a line where I've measured up, so I can always place it in the same place in the middle each time, so when I do my other layers they'll come out on top of each other. Again, give it a really good press. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm much happy with that. I can see the image a lot better. I'm starting to think now that it might be worth, I used a very thin cut, it might be worth cutting into the lines I really want to sharpen and making them a bit thicker. So I'm not actually going to make too many prints of this one, because I think I can do it a little bit better than that. So this is another mistake. If you haven't actually mixed your colours properly, you get big blobs of colour which don't look very good, but you can make that better by just keep rolling over it, and actually you can mix it a little bit on the Linocut, so it's not the worst thing in the world if that happens. Sometimes it can be quite nice to get a little colour variation as well on the print. Okay, line it up carefully again, the bottom edge and the line that I've drawn on my registration sheet. Okay, rub it with the Baron. Okay, and I'm quite pleased with this. This